Well, where else would I be when you're going to see something giving it horns but the Vodacom Bulls? This is yet another edition of Playing the Bounce. We're going to chat to a couple of the players, one or two coaches. In fact, up first, Russell Winter, the assistant coach. Oh, what an absolute pleasure to catch up with one of the coaches here at the Vodacom Bulls, a man who's applied his trade as a rugby player just down the motorway in Johannesburg, and years later he finds himself in the colours of the Vodacom Blue Bulls. Russell Winter, an absolute pleasure. And you know, Bright Rock is all about change and how we manage it in our lives. And I suppose everybody who's in your position had to go through a massive change from rugby player to coach. What was that transition like?
Geez, I'd love to say it was seamless, but it wasn't, you know. The beginning was really tough. The beginning was tough because you think you know everything about rugby and coaching, but coaching rugby is totally different to playing it. So, yeah, I was fortunate enough to play rugby through my career and then obviously make that transition to coaching. And I think I picked up a lot of things from previous coaches, which helped me into that, you know. But there's a massive difference in being a coach and being a player. You need to be able to teach and obviously get the buy-in from the players. So it was tough at first, but I think I kept at it and I tried to make sure that I learnt as well as I went along with this journey, and I think I've come out on the other side, and I think I'm imparting or sharing knowledge with the players that I think are really benefiting them.
You've been at this for more than a decade now, the coaching thing, and I'm pretty sure as a player you would have had preconceived notions of what it is coaching entails, although you were in and around it for so many years as a player. 10 years into this game, what is it that has surprised you the most about what coaching actually means?
Well, that's such a good question. There's so many layers to it. I mean, again, as a player, you know, I wish I could turn back time now and know what I know now and become a player, because, you know, with age, you know, I don't want to say it's wisdom, but I realized that if I'd just taken in more, just done that little bit more, I could have been so much of a better rugby player than what I was. And now in the coaching as well, you know, the constant, just looking at teams and trends and changes, and this game is evolving every single day. So, you know, you've got to try as a coach just stay ahead of it and make sure that you're ahead of it, and so that you can, you know, prepare the players on the weekend to make sure that they're ready for the game. So for me, it's been such an incredible journey, because there's never a boring day, there's never a dull moment. You know, you have to keep moving with the times, and if you don't, you get caught.
Yeah, you mentioned the evolution of the game, and it is. Every year I speak to coaches and they're busy trying to apply something new, something that never happened before. But as a player, we saw you picking up a couple of those balls at the back of lion scrums and going on barnstorming runs. How much has it evolved from a playing perspective? How different is it now from when you played?
I think the professional era players have become, they're professional athletes. I mean, there's the guys that are running around there are running, you know, 100-meter time, 50-meter times that are different to what they were in the day. They're gymming more. Their conditioning is unbelievable. So that's gonna influence the game in terms of the contact, the collisions, the amount of force that they're applying through things. You know,
speed.
Exactly, the speed. So, you know, that's how it's evolving. And to stay in the game, these youngsters that we get need to understand that being a professional rugby player, your career is only that long, and you need to make sure that we need to make sure that we can fast track these youngsters as quick as we can, because you're getting international rugby players that are 20, 21, 22 years old now. And I mean, in the old days, that was sort of unheard of. You know, you used to be a seasoned veteran before you could become a Springbok. And yeah, that's for me the biggest change, is trying to make sure that these youngsters are prepared to make that transition into senior rugby, and that they're ready and equipped to go and play tournaments like the URC or international rugby.
Yeah, I'm loving the fact that we are in this whole new era of rugby, and players having to travel to Europe and back and experiencing something completely different. Conditions, the places that you guys travel to now are so different. But you've done this before, because you must went decided you're going to go to Newcastle, right?
Yeah. The two. No, yes. Again, I'm blessed to have played this game in different sort of areas in South Africa and obviously overseas, and that has helped me. Definitely, it has helped me, because the amount of coaches that I've had, like I said, success is something that you get from people who are successful. And for me, when I went overseas, the biggest thing for me was obviously the climate and then the people. I mean, it was such a fantastic time for me and my family, and it was tough in the first year, but then the next 3 years, I really enjoyed my time there, and I learned to sort of embrace everything, the culture, the conditions. It was just something that was really unique and something different to what we used to, and they've obviously, their rugby season is in the winter, and we've gone into this winter season into a sort of a mixed season where we're playing summer rugby and then winter rugby. So I think everybody's still learning. I think the URC sides that come here are still learning to play in 33, 34, sometimes 35 degrees temperature. And I think we're also getting to, some of the guys played for the first time, they've seen snow a couple of weeks ago. So that for them was like a massive experience, but I think it's going to help them in the next time that happens, and it's going to happen again. So as long as we can learn from that and we can move on, improve from those learnings, we'll be good.
People always talk about culture in rugby, and the Newcastle Falcons have got a very unique culture, even within the UK. They're not like a Leinster. They're very different. They're not like the London Irish. They are very different. Student town. It's a very sort of close-knit community. How different was it from what you grew up in as a young player, and then all of a sudden you're overseas and you're having to fit into this mold?
Yeah, massive, massive. I can remember watching Johnny Wilkinson kick that winning drop goal, and then it's 4 years later, I'm playing with him in the same side, and just listening to him speak in meetings and just watching him and his work ethic. And then you understand, like I say, successful people, you just have to see what they do and you'll understand what it takes. And I was watching him, and I was, I got so much from that. And me, coming through, I've always loved this game. Always loved this game. I mean, it's something that it's honestly been, it's something that I've loved since I was a boy. So, for me to have experienced that and gone and seen and played with these players, and obviously, experienced my time overseas, it's taught me so much, helped me for my coaching, because not everybody's going to have the same personality that Johnny had, for example. They're going to be different. I mean, we've got players that are just as good, and they just got completely different personalities. And that's the sort of thing you've got to embrace as a coach, You've got to make sure that you understand. And I was different as well. I got a couple of nicknames when I was overseas, They loved my accent. They loved the fact that, you got
to share one or two.
Hey?
One or two.
No, surely not.
Come on, Russ.
Well, a common one was China. They called me China, but I had some other ones. Some people thought I was from Russia. I was a German at a stage. I was a lot of things. But I had a really good time there. I enjoyed my time there. Really good people.
Yeah, we're talking about the URC now, which we are at the time that I'm talking to you in the heat of. It's been a phenomenal season. The first season, the maiden season, I thought was absolutely wonderful to have two South African teams play in the grand final. Yeah. Did it shock you guys as much as it shocked us from a fan perspective?
I think it was I tell you, it was the fact that two South African sides played in the final. I think as a country, and through what we have been through, and through our change, leaving Super Rugby into URC, and just the whole change that was going on, and I mean, there was so much going on personally. I got affected by COVID and within my family, and I think just it was so uplifting for everybody to finally be in a tournament where we were settled, where we sort of got an ID and we could play in the final, two South Africans, just for the public. I think it was great, and I think all the sides, I think the Sharks and the Lions did a fantastic job in their first, URC, and now we're learning, and now the sides overseas know we're not to be taken lightly. So they're coming just as hard for us. They've got budgets and they've got players, international players in all their teams. So they're good sides, and they're really coming at us hard now. So for us to maintain that, we can't use the surprise thing as an advantage anymore. They know what we're about, and it was just great for us as a South African rugby and the culture that we have. It was great that there was two sides in the final. I mean, I still get goosebumps thinking about it.
Very quickly, how different is it, especially for these guys who've never been? You mentioned some boys who've never seen SCLO before, and next thing you have to play in it, potentially. How different are the conditions? How much effort do you have to put in just preparing the guys for the unknown?
Yeah. massive. Massive. I cannot stress enough how much different it's been, because not even when we played Super Rugby that you'd ever play on a synthetic pitch. Now we're playing on a synthetic pitch, and it's been said a lot, but it's so different because you don't slip. The pitch is not wet. It's got little rubber pellets. A small little thing, you'll get tackled. I played in it. I trained on it when I was over there, and I tried to explain to guys, you might just get your head pushed into what we call turf, into this rubber, and your eye comes out full of little plastic pellets, and you'll end up having to wash it out. So it's completely different. The conditions, the weather, the travel. I mean, there's no change in time zones, but we've been traveling quite, our travel to get to a destination has been quite long. But at the same time, we can't stress enough how blessed we are to be experiencing this, going over to different places, playing different teams. It's really fresh for everything. So, we just got to keep those energy levels really high and embrace this tournament, because the Heineken Cup has also changed things now. So now we're playing in the French, and we're playing. So, it's been change, but it's been good change.
Russell, thank you so much for your time. I think it's just a measure of what the Bulls are building here, that you've got somebody like you who's just slotted into this coaching setup. And it must be wonderful to work with Jake, guys like Mr. Rousseau. There's so many, Edgar Marutlule, coming together and creating this new Brains Trust. Must have been pretty nice to step into this zone.
No, listen, the people, in Pretoria, in Loftus, they're fantastic people. You always love to hate them because they were so good at what they were doing, and you play against it. But it's the rugby, first of all, is the love, and then the place itself is a fantastic place. I mean, there's players here, there's coaches here that I coached, there's coaches that coached me. I mean, it's fantastic, and it just shows you that this family of rugby is not just within a region, it's within South Africa. So it's wonderful being here.
Always like to chat to Russell Winter in the summer.
Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Just like in the game of rugby, you too can get better at playing the bounce in life with the help of Change Science. So head on over to the Change Exchange and learn how to play the bounce in life.